Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove and 30 Days of Goddess with our practice update for August. And I would like to invite you to take a moment to come into where you are, to drop into your body, into your heart space, to how you feel right here, right now. And allow yourself a deep breath, or two, or three, to set aside the things that you have been carrying and allow yourself to settle into presence. Welcome. Welcome to 30 Days of Goddess for August. I am so glad you are here. And my format is a little bit different this month because I've decided to make a separate series of kind of step-by-step videos welcoming people who are new to the practice. So if you are brand new, welcome. And there is a series of videos that are a 30 Days of Goddess 101, so to speak, now available to you. And so this video is intended for people who are already familiar with 30 Days of Goddess, whether it's from just the past 30 days or whether you have been practicing with us for 550 plus days. Hi, Karen. And so so this update is going to be specific to people who have been participating for a while and are familiar with what 30 Days of Goddess looks like in practice. And for people who are new, there's a whole series of new resources which I will link to below to get you going. So one of the things that is new that'll hopefully keep these updates a little shorter and a little bit less repetitive so that it's fresh but still usable for everybody. So below the video, you will find your practice resources for August, including a sampler pack with new prayer cards and the words for the month and things like that. As always, members of our Goddess Magic community on Patreon, that's patreon.com/Bridget'sGrove, get additional printables and resources for the month, but the core practice is always free and accessible to anyone who wants to participate. The patron community does get the little colorful little affirmation cards in advance. These are the same little graphics that I post on Instagram each day of the month, but they get them as a little file as well as some additional good stuff. The thing that I did want to share that there is one different aspect for August, which is that I have rebooted the mini prayer book, the original mini files. So I began this 30 Days of Goddess practice back in January of 2021. And at the time I had a very simple, basic little prayer book file with the moon, the mood, the mood, the rune, and a little space for a daily prayer. And I decided that I wanted to reboot that concept so that this tiny little prayer book is a flexible use, open-ended, very simple and very accessible type of format that's available to you. So you have access to the regular prayer book, both spiral bound in the shop and then also in printable version. But now there's a tiny little version available too. This tiny little version is not specifically updated for the month. You would just go ahead and adapt the words and include those as you will. This is meant to just be an anytime use. You could print this out at any month of the year. It's not specific to August. And I have decided I'm just going to do it very simply. And there's going to be a video about this, like a how to do a super simple little prayer book. I'm going to keep this one very simply through August while also continuing to work in my regular prayer book in the more elaborate way that I am fond of. But I wanted to make sure that there was this super simple version where you can literally just open it up, glue something in, and put down the moon, the mood, and the rune, and then move on with your day and have a little small holding space for sacred experiencing. So that file is available and is meant to be printed out double-sided, which will actually end up creating 8 pages per page. But like I said, there's going to be a separate video about that. So I don't want to distract myself by talking about that too long. So that is new for this month for everybody. And this month, I don't have a lot that I specifically want to say to add on, except to kind of continue with the idea of orienting our lives by joy. Last month, I spoke about reorienting by joy, paying attention to what brings us joy, and navigating by joy. And this month, I've also been thinking about that in terms of I was looking through some materials from someone else's community that I belong to, and I was watching some replays and videos and thinking about different things. And I just noticed a feeling in my own self as like this feels too heavy. Like it's not how I want to spend my precious minutes. And it's not because it's not important work or it's not good stuff and good content. And I'll absolutely continue to support that person's community and, boost up their work whenever I can. But I realized as far as the amount of time that I have in the day to put into something, this particular thing was feeling like too much and too heavy. And like, I don't necessarily want to do this kind of excavation of the self in my free time. And, that there's a lot of, privilege there, and you can unpack that a whole bunch of different ways about why I even feel like I can say that. But at the same time, what it reminded me of is that deep excavation work may at times in our lives indeed be too much. It might indeed be too heavy. And so in-depth journaling, I have to be honest that, morning pages that a lot of people do, The Artist's Way with from Julia Cameron, 3 pages of, brain dump style writing in the morning for me is always too much. The time I have in the morning for me needs to be devoted to writing my new poem and my new prayer and my new affirmations for the day. And that's the writing energy that I have to spend and that I have to spare. And if I was to spend all the time on the morning pages, I wouldn't necessarily be able to create what's in me to create or what I want to create. So I recognize and respect that morning pages are super important to other people. To me, they're too much. And so that's what I wanted to point out is that, and deep excavation can be too much, and it can also be not interesting. Like not everybody's interested in a bunch of deep self-reflection all the time. So that's something that I like, just like I like to, pass the rattle and have everybody share how they're feeling. And to some people, that's like a nightmare to have to share how you're feeling in front of a group of people. And so one of the things I wanted to remember is that if it feels like too much or like it's not interesting, let it go, because there's space for joy. We need to make space for joy, and we need to trust the joy, and that daily practice should be fun too. There's few shoulds in daily practice. And I know I emphasize showing up kind of no matter what and things like that, but it should be fun. Like you should be getting something out of it that feels fun to you. So if it feels too heavy, if it feels not interesting, if it feels too reflective, if it feels too introspective, too much, let something go. It really is okay. And it's okay to not always be in this place of excavation. I write, and I've used, maybe too often, the word witness on the prompt words listing, or prompt lists of prompt words. And one of the things that I always write about witness is, may we bear witness to life as it is right now, as it is unfolding right now. And to me, that's kind of the heart of daily practice, not getting it done and checking off the boxes, but to show up for yourself, to show up for the sacred, and then bear witness to what unfolds there. Not to try to get it all done or to check all the items off your list or to do it all right, but to see, to come into yourself, to come into presence, to be held by the sacred, and to see what is there, to discover what is there. Not any pressure to perform or please or excavate. So I wanted to make sure to mention that. And um, and then the other thing I wanted to briefly mention is that the idea that I brought up during our live call for mid-month encouragement that we had. And that was, what is sustaining you now? In my experience, a daily practice is part of how I sustain my very spirit for the rest of the day. So hopping up in the morning and doing my practices is what then sustains me through the rest of the day. And so what is sustaining you now? What is bringing you joy? What is lightening your heart? What are you bearing witness to? So feel free to leave a comment or let me know what you think about that. But what's sustaining you? What are you bearing witness to? What's bringing you joy? And then the other thing I did want to point out is that your life is going to be full no matter whether you have a daily practice or not. So you might as well have at least part of the day that is nourished through daily intentional practice and communion with the sacred. You might as well, because the life's going to be full anyway. And then I also wanted to quote Mara Glatzel from her Needy podcast, where she says, look at the day you have and see what in it is doable. If it's 5 minutes, great. If it's 10 minutes, great. Something is always, always better than nothing. And this practice is a way of doing what is doable daily and keeping that priority front and center, braiding it into the messy middle of your daily life. So that's really what 30 Days of Goddess is about too, is braiding daily practice into the messy middle of your life, not about doing it perfectly or doing everything on your, imagined magical person list. But I promise there's some magic possible in every day. And I promise that if you continue showing up, the goddess shows up too, the sacred shows up too, and something will happen in that messy middle of life. And so along those same lines, I found myself the other day saying to my kids, they were, my second son is trying to develop like a workout routine. And so he's working on, he said, every day, I think I'm going to do this. And I said, you know what, buddy, like doing something every day and keeping your promise is pretty much the secret to anything. Like, I don't know that many secrets. I don't know that many things that I will be absolutist about. And right now, I'm even going to qualify myself to say that I know that people have lots of fulfilling things that they don't do every day. So it's not necessarily required, but I really do feel like doing something every day and keeping your promise is like the secret to a lot of things. It's a secret to a lot of things. It's a secret to anything. Um, it's a secret to daily practice. It's a secret to devotion. It's a secret to spirituality. It's a secret to nutrition. It's a secret to self-care. Like, there's all kinds of secret to your workout routine. Whatever it is, doing something every day and keeping your promise is like the secret. And at the same time, the other secret is, so I don't have a lot of secrets, but I have a couple to reveal today. The other secret is not getting mad at yourself or being mean to yourself or giving up because you've missed a day. So there's two secrets. One is showing up every day and keeping your promise. And one is not being mean to yourself when you don't. And those two things are the secret to anything. If you're mean to yourself or get mad at yourself or shame yourself for missing, then you'll give up. And so don't be mean to yourself. Keep your promise and don't be mean to yourself if you don't keep your promise. They're both real. They're both true. So that is what I wanted to mention. And then also to say, consider the countless tiny moments of consistent routine, mundane practice that fill your days. Brushing your teeth, driving to a job, doing the dishes, getting food ready. There's countless moments of practice that fill our lives that might not be spiritual practice, but they're a practice of some kind or another. And now allow yourself the chance to breathe the sacred into them, giving yourself the space, even if it's just 5 minutes, to nourish yourself in a spiritually nurturing way, because we have countless moments of practice that fill up our lives. Which ones could you breathe the sacred into, or come into the present long enough to see that the sacred is already there? And so that's what I wanted to share. What's sustaining you? What could you breathe the sacred into? Where could you drop in and see the sacred that's already there? And then I wanted to end with a poem that I wrote recently and shared with the Goddess Magic community on Patreon, and that is that I think relates to this messy middle of the everyday life. So, as we close, you may wish to take another deep breath. I need to take one too. I'm getting kind of worked up. Take another deep breath. Lay a hand against your heart. Let yourself be here in the present, in the moment, in the center. Your attention called back from all the other things that need you for this minute. May we hold awareness of the goddess throughout the day, recognizing the sacred in all the scraps and strings and breaths of presence that weave the fabric of our days. May we remember that we need not save the sacred only for moments of calm and quiet, these brief flashes of perfection. She is not found only in solitude, but is everywhere, humming through the very skin of the world. May we hold our center even as the world whirls around us. May we trust that we are always connected, even when faith and joy feel weak and wavering, and our magic is faded and threadbare. May we remember that the enchantment of the ordinary is right here with us. No need to wait or search, as close as breath, as close as heartbeat, as close as fingertips. Breathe deep, reach out, hold on. Thank you so much for being here.